My name is Dior Johnson, class 2022, Socrates High School.
For a kid at his age, his work ethic is supreme. Always wants to get in the gym no matter the time of the day.
He's a competitor, and he has the mindset of someone that's going to go out there and kill you every time. It doesn't matter who steps in front of him.
Hit basketball player Dior Johnson pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor domestic violence charges.
Only our cameras were there as Dior Johnson walked into court today facing felony assault and strangulation charges.
Dior Johnson had one of the most talked about come-ups of any high school prospect in the past couple of years. Dior caught everyone's attention early on. Even NBA stars and celebrities pulled up to watch him play. As a former 5-star recruit, he was one of the best players in the 2022 high school class, which had dozens of current NBA players such as Dereck Lively, Brandon Miller, and many more. But while Lively and Miller and dozens of others are currently in the NBA, Dior's career headed downhill before he even played a game in college. But how did he end up becoming almost a forgotten prospect? There sure is a lot that led up to this point. So to fully understand the story behind it all, let's go back to when Dior Johnson was first discovered. Dior was born in Kingston, New York, and was raised by a single mother alongside his grandparents. His basketball journey, though impressive, was anything but straightforward. Dior bounced between 9 high schools across 5 different states, which isn't ideal for any young athlete. He kicked off his high school career at Socrates High School, and by the end of 8th grade, he had already broken the New York State boys basketball record, becoming the youngest player to score 1,000 points. New York State public school basketball was not up to Dior's level of competition, so he left and went on to pursue his basketball talents elsewhere. And this is where the madness begins, as you will see the insane journey that Dior took bouncing between so many different high schools over his career. Dior's next stop was IMG Academy in Florida during his freshman year, but an injury sent him back home to Socrates. But he didn't stay long at Socrates because as soon as he recovered, Johnson transferred to Findlay Prep in Nevada. But as soon as he touched foot in Nevada and settled in, the school's basketball program got completely shut down. Once Findlay shut down and he had nowhere to go, his next stop was Hillcrest Prep in Arizona. But unfortunately, Dior left Hillcrest just 2 weeks after his announcement to enroll at Fairfax High in Los Angeles. But as soon as he planned to ditch Hillcrest and go to Fairfax, he ended up not even going to Fairfax and enrolled at Mayfair High School in Lakewood, California instead. He actually did end up playing his sophomore season at Mayfair and actually had an excellent season. He averaged 23.3 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. But as soon as Dior had an incredible sophomore season at Mayfair, he left Mayfair and would go to premier prep school Oak Hill Academy for his junior season, the school that produced NBA legends like Kevin Durant and Carmelo Anthony. Unfortunately, he sustained a leg injury and never got to showcase his talents at Oak Hill either. He then returned to California, enrolling at Centennial High School in Corona, but he didn't play there either. Finally, for his senior year, Johnson attended Prolific Prep in Napa, before transferring halfway through to SoCal Academy. Such an up and down movement for a young player who didn't settle down in one place. If one thing's clear from Johnson's high school career, it's that this kid doesn't quit. Despite all the transfers, injuries, and setbacks, he kept pushing forward. Despite all the changes, Johnson's talent shone through, and was at one point ranked as a top 3 player in his class by some recruiting services. His list of college offers was practically a long list of elite NCAA basketball programs, including Syracuse, Alabama, Arizona State, Memphis, LSU, and many others. But in February 2020, Dior made the big decision to commit to Syracuse University, choosing to play under legendary coach Jim Boeheim. Dior was regarded as the best recruit for Syracuse since Carmelo Anthony, who famously led the team to the 2003 NCAA championship. That's some big shoes to fill, and Johnson looked like the right player to fill it, but it never happened. In November 2020, Johnson shook up the college basketball world when he announced on social media that he was decommitting from Syracuse, as it was clear Dior had other options on his mind. With his talent, top programs across the country were lining up. Schools like Duke, North Carolina, Louisville, Virginia Tech, and Notre Dame were all waiting to make their pitch. Even powerhouses like Kentucky, Georgetown, Maryland, and Indiana were on his radar as well. When you're ranked as one of the top players in your class, just about every powerhouse program will be on your radar. But here's where things take a twist. With all the buzz around him, there were rumors that Johnson might just take a completely different route, the NBA G League. That way, he wouldn't wait around for college when the pros came calling. It was a serious conversation if he would just skip college entirely to move straight to an overseas route. Many prospects like LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton went to the Australian NBL rather than attending college, and the NBA G League Ignite was forming as well. However, in June 2021, he committed to the University of Oregon. But just a year later, he decommitted from the school and opened up his recruitment again. It seemed that the unsettling problems he had in high school started to show again. Finally, in June 2022, Johnson made his commitment to Pittsburgh. Whether he would stay at Pitt was anyone's guess at this point, but he was certainly keeping fans on their toes. He might have been finding it hard to settle in one place, but don't get me wrong, his game wasn't the factor. On the court, Dior Johnson looked like he was made for the big moments. You know you're doing something right when guys like Quavo and Ja Morant pull up to watch your games and are jumping out of their seats. Just watch this sequence right here. Here is Dior throwing this between the legs alley-oop pass to Josh Christopher for the dunk. That is Johnson's game in a nutshell. Flair, creativity, and a talent for pulling off jaw-dropping plays. He also wasn't just making noise on the high school scene, he was hooping in AAU tournaments as well, and he even got recognized by one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Check out this tweet from LeBron about Dior Johnson's impressive play down the stretch from one of his AAU games in the summer of 2021. But let's forget about the noise and the hype for 1 second and actually break down his game. Standing at 6'3", Dior has a strong, aggressive game that thrives on physical contact. He can get downhill to the rim with ease and finish in just about any way possible. And he's not afraid to finish through contact and get to the line. His free throw shooting backs it up. He's also an excellent ball handler. He plays off the dribble, controls his speed, and loves to mix in a deadly spin move. He's also got a smooth floater and a go-to step-back jumper that keeps defenders guessing. And let's not forget about his shooting range, which extends beyond the three-point line. He also doesn't need much space to get his shot off, and with his ability to stop on a dime, he's a serious threat from anywhere on the court. On the defensive end, Dior can hold his own when he locks in. He has all the physical tools to become a lockdown defender, but just like with any young player, effort and focus will always be key, and prospects often lack those intangibles on the defensive end. The kid really had all the potential in the world, and although he had a crazy few years between transferring to so many different high schools and various decommitments, colleges still knew how talented the kid was if he was stable and in the right situation. But unfortunately, in December 2022, Dior ran into some major legal trouble. He pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges, one being assault and the other being strangulation following a troubling incident in early September. According to reports, an argument between Dior and a woman escalated into something far more serious. He allegedly struck the woman multiple times, leaving visible bruising, and at one point forced her head into a bed, which made it hard for her to breathe. The assault charge came from the physical injuries, which was bruising caused by Dior hitting her. The strangulation charge came from him pushing her head into the bed, making her struggle to breathe for several seconds. The original felony charges of aggravated assault were reduced to misdemeanors, which was part of a plea agreement. Dior did not escape punishment. He was handed a year of probation, and he was required to complete a batterer's intervention program and undergo a mental health evaluation if needed. So what happened to his college basketball career? Well, immediately after the charges were announced, the University of Pittsburgh, where he finally committed in June of 2022, took immediate action after Johnson's arrest in early October, suspending him from both campus and basketball activities. However, after pleading guilty, Johnson was reinstated and it was made clear that he intended to resume his career at Pitt. But the university was cautious, stating they would continue to follow their protocols and wouldn't comment further until all the necessary legal steps were taken. He didn't play for Pitt after he was suspended before his hearing in December, and to add another year meant that his time was over. For those who followed Dior's rise, this turn of events came as a major shock. He had been a nationally known recruit, setting varsity scoring records in New York as early as 7th and 8th grade. In August of 2023, Pitt basketball announced that Johnson was no longer enrolled at the university. He never ended up playing a regular season game for Pitt. The trouble started just before what would have been his freshman season. The school tried their best to reintegrate him, especially after the felonies were taken off his record. Pitt even decided to give him another shot by planning to bring him back to practice and taking him on an international tour with the team to Spain over the summer, showing that they weren't quite ready to cut ties just yet. But by the time the summer ended and the season was about to start in the next few months, it was clear things weren't gonna work out at Pitt. But less than a month after parting ways with the Panthers, Dior found a new place to restart his career at Clarendon College, a junior college in Texas. Johnson was now taking his talents down south to JUCO and hoped to finally play his first collegiate game after leaving high school. The journey to college ball has been far from straightforward for Dior. He originally committed to Syracuse, then Oregon, before landing at Pitt, and then Clarendon. Despite all that talent, he didn't appear in a single game for 2 years. But he eventually had his chance playing one season in Clarendon during the 2023-24 season, and to Dior's credit, he had an absolutely incredible season. He led all of JUCO in scoring, averaging 29.7 points and added 5.9 assists and 5.4 rebounds per game, while shooting 52% from the field, 41% from three, and 85% from the line. His play last season in JUCO earned him the title as the top-ranked JUCO player in the 24/7 Sports rankings. Dior showed that he can still hoop at a high level despite his unconventional and troubling past. Fortunately for Dior, his incredible season in JUCO led to D1 programs giving him another chance. And therefore, Dior ended up getting a chance to play in the Big 12 and committed to play for the UCF Knights for the 2024-25 season. If Dior finally steps on the court for the Knights, it'll mark his long-awaited Division I collegiate debut. And crazy enough, he will join another highly rated prospect, Mikey Williams, who had a very similar story to Dior. If you want to check out our video on Mikey Williams' story, which is very similar to Dior's, it'll be linked at the end of this one. Mikey, who was one of the best players in the class of 2023, was originally set to play at Memphis, but never appeared in a game due to his own legal troubles, pleading guilty to a gun charge in November of 2023. While he faced the possibility of 6 felony counts, those were reduced to misdemeanors if he met the terms of his plea agreement. So, if things go as planned, UCF could be home to not just one, but 2 of the most talented but controversial recruits in recent memory, both eager to finally make their mark in the college basketball world after a series of legal troubles. The duo of Dior and Mikey will be one of the most interesting stories in all of college basketball, and it'll be interesting to see if these 2 former stars can make some serious noise in the highest level of college basketball and potentially get back on the NBA radar. But what are your thoughts? Do you think Dior Johnson will have a great college season and eventually make it to the NBA? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos just like this one. And before you go, check out the Mikey Williams video, which is linked right here. We'll see you in the next one.